Hello guys, welcome to another tutorial on Sew with Abby channel. In today's video we'll be learning how to make this beautiful cowl neck dress with one side drawstring. If this video is what you are interested in, then keep watching. Let's get into it. For the purpose of this tutorial, I'll be making use of these materials, and for my fabric I have vintage here and it's about 2.5 yards. Now for this pattern paper, I'll be using it to illustrate the upper part before I actually cut on my fabric. Now I'll go ahead to cut the lower part first. The lower part is a flare. Okay, so I'm gonna head to fold my fabric into 4 in a triangular shape. Now I'm going to be using this paper to illustrate how I folded it. The first thing I did was to fold my fabric into 2 like so. Now after folding it, I folded it again. As you can see, the second fold is not equal with the first fold. This is because the second fold is the front piece while the first one is the back piece, and that space there is the zipper allowance. And this is exactly how I folded my fabric. Now I want to start taking my measurements, and the first measurement I'll take is my waist circumference. My waist circumference divided by 4, which is 7.5 inches. Then I'll add 1 inch for seam, making it 8.5 inches, and this is where I'll take the measurement. Then I'll draw a line across. I'm sorry, the chalk is not visible enough. Just understand that the line there is the indication of my waist circumference. Now I'll go ahead to cut this out. The next measurement I want to take now is the length of this lower part. The total length of this dress is 46 inches. So I want to make this lower part 32 inches. 31 is what I need actually, but I added extra 1 inch to it, making it 32 inches. So I have 15 inches left for the upper part. I'm taking the 32 inches measurement across the circumference of the skirt. Then I'll connect the lines together. Afterwards, I'll cut it out. Now I will come to the side here and then I'll open it up because there's going to be side pockets on this dress. Alright guys, this is what the back piece looks like, and this is what the front piece looks like. Now the next thing I want to do is to mark where the drawstring and the slit will be. Actually, I'm supposed to make the mark on the right side since the casing of the drawstring will be there, but because of the pattern of this fabric, it won't make the mark visible enough. So that's why I decided to mark it on the wrong side. So from the center fold of this front piece, I'll mark my bust span, my nipple to nipple measurement, which is 4 inches on fold. Then I'll try to draw a straight line to the hem. So guys, this is where the drawstring casing and the slit will be. The next thing I want to do is to mark where the drawstring casing will end and where the slit will start from. So from the top of the flare, I'll measure 19 inches. That is where the casing for the drawstring will stop, and that is where the slit will start. Now I'll go ahead to cut open this part. Now if you want your slit to go higher than that, go ahead and measure where you want it to be. So this is what the slit looks like. Now I'm going to set this aside to work on the upper part. Alright guys, I have these basic bodies here and I'll be modifying it to what I want. Okay, so this is the chest line, the bust line, this is the waistline, this is the front armhole. I went back by 0.5 inch from the armhole line, and this is the back armhole. I sloped the shoulder by 1 inch, and then from there I measured my armhole depth. I already took my bust and waist measurement, though I didn't add seam allowance there. Now I want to modify this pattern to what I want. From the top of the armhole line, I will get the midpoint of the armhole line Then I'll draw a straight line across the pattern paper. Now I'll label this part strap. This will serve as the strap for our top. Then I'll go ahead to cut the strap part off. So guys, this is the back piece for our top. The next thing I'm going to do now is to place it on my fabric to cut. Now my fabric is on fold and I left about 1.5 inches for my zipper allowance. Okay, I also added stitching allowance to the length because I didn't add any to the pattern paper. I will add to the top and also to the side as well. Now I will cut the back piece into two, then cut about ½ inch away from the waist side of the zipper allowance to eliminate zipper bulge. Now for the neckline of this back piece, you can decide to leave it the way it is or shape it. Now for me, this is the way I want it. Now the next thing I'll do is to notch the zipper allowance. Then I'll notch the hem as well. Now that we are done with the back pattern of the top, the next thing to do is to work on the front. Now I'm going to cut through the chest line because we are going to spread this part to have the cowl effect. I'm not going to cut it to the end, that is, I won't cut it into two. You can see what I have there. Now I'm going to place this pattern paper on my fabric. Now this is my fabric and it is on fold. I want you to note that the more you spread this, the more the cowl neck of your top will fall. For me, I want the spread to be 8 inches. If you don't want it to fall that much, you can use 5 inches or 4 inches. Now I'll go ahead to cut it out and then I'm going to be adding stitching allowance to the sides of the pattern paper. Alright guys, remember I said this is the front armhole and this is the back armhole. So right now I'm going to cut the back armhole off so that I will be left with the front armhole. The next thing I want to do is to cut out facing for the front and back pieces. For the front piece, the facing is going to stop right after the armhole. Now this is the piece I want to use for the facing. I folded it into two before I place my front piece on it. Then I will trace out the armhole, the neckline, and also the length I want it to be. Alright guys, this is what the facing looks like, and I'll be using it to turn the neckline as well as the armhole of the front piece. Now I'll go ahead to cut the facing for the back. So guys, for the back piece, this is how the facing will be placed. We are done cutting now, and the next thing to do is to start stitching. And the first thing I'm going to stitch is the strap to hold the front and back pieces together. Now I've gone ahead to cut this out, and it is about 1.5 inches wide and 10.5 inches long. So I'm going to fold it in like so, and then I'll stitch the edge. Now I'll head over to the sewing machine and come back to show us what I have done. Alright guys, I'm done stitching the strap and this is what I have. Now I'm going to bring in the front piece so as to attach the strap to it. I'm going to place the strap at the armhole part here. I'll pin it down and then I'll do the same to the other side. Then I'll place the facing on the front piece like so, right side facing each other. Then I'll stitch the armhole, the neckline all around. So guys, after stitching, I turn it to the right side and this is what I have. Now the next thing I'm going to do is to bring in the back piece so that I will attach the strap there as well. I will attach the strap to the right side of the back piece and then I'll do the same to the other side. Afterwards, I'll flip this side over and then I'll bring in the facing, place it on it, right side facing each other, head over to the sewing machine to stitch. Alright, I'm done stitching and this is what I have. Now I'm going to turn the facing to the wrong side of the back piece. And the next thing I want to do now is to join the two sides together, but before then I want you to see the cowl effect. So now I can go ahead to stitch the two sides together. I'm going to be using 1 inch measurement to stitch. Okay guys, I'm done stitching and this is what I have. Now I'm going to set this aside to work on the lower part. I will be working on the back piece of the lower part first. I want to close up the zipper allowance. So from the top of the flare, I'll measure about 8 inches down. That is where the zipper will stop, and then I'll stitch from the hem and stop where I marked. For the front piece, the first thing I'll be doing is to turn in the slit, and this is the piece I'll be using. It's about 1.5 inches wide. Okay guys, I'm done turning in the slit and this is what it looks like. The next thing I want to do is to stitch the casing for the drawstring, and I'm going to be stitching it right on this line, although at the right side here. And this is the piece I'll be using. Is about 3 inches wide, and I went ahead to stitch the edge here. Now this is how I'm going to place it, and then I'll run a stitch right here. It should be on the line I marked earlier. Then after running the stitch in the middle, then I'll turn in the edges like so. After running the stitch in the middle and turning in the edges, I'll have 2 enclosed places there. Okay guys, I'm done stitching and this is what it looks like. The next thing I want to do now is to insert the drawstring. This rope is about 30 inches long. Now I will insert the drawstring into the holes. Now that I'm done inserting the drawstring, I'll go ahead to stitch down the edges, then I'll work on the side pockets. So guys, for the pocket, this is how I'm going to draft it out. I'm using my hand. Then I'll go ahead to cut it out, then place it on my fabric and cut as well. I cut out 4 pieces of this because 2 will be on each side. Now I'll bring in my flare to attach the pocket to it. So from the top of the flare, I'll mark 2.5 inches down. I will mark the same thing on this side as well, then attach the pocket right where I marked. Head over to the sewing machine to stitch with 1/2 inch measurement. Okay guys, I'm done stitching, and the next thing I want to do is to join these two sides together. So I'm going to join from the waist, then close up the pocket, and then continue from where the pocket stops all the way to the end, and then I'll join the other side as well. So guys, after joining the two sides, this is what I have, and this is what the pocket looks like. The next thing I want to do is to attach the top to the lower part. I'm gonna head to notch the lower part, so I'll notch the center of this top as well. Then I'll attach it together, right side facing each other and the notch parts touching each other. Then I'll head over to the sewing machine now to stitch it round. Alright guys, I'm done attaching the top to the flare, and we have our dress. The last thing I want to do here is to fix the zipper to the dress and then hem the down part. Thanks for watching guys. Hope you find this tutorial helpful. Kindly give us a thumbs up, and if you are yet to subscribe to this channel, kindly subscribe and turn on post notifications so that whenever I post new videos you will be notified. See you in my next one.